love in combat sports and sports entertainment. This is the law. Live audio wrestling.
All right, so let me ask you this, Brady, because we just got done seeing, I don't know how many times we're going to have to put up with this, but Jake Paul, Mike Perry, and I don't know, listen, at the end of the day, they drew a house. They definitely drew a house, ladies and gentlemen. You can't deny that. The fights beforehand, some of them were okay, some of them were not bad. One fight may go down as having the contender for knockout of the year. That's for damn sure, because dude got sent into, like, when you face plant onto the ground and you're winning a fight, the entire fight, every minute of the fight, and then you get knocked the F out.
He was formerly known as H2O. He is now known as an ice brick.
Dude, H2O is like H2 no. That shit dried the F up. Done.
Shouts out to Lucas Body for doing what he did, representing Canada the way that he did. Niagara Falls, representing at one of the biggest boxing events of the year. You're right. It was a very eventful event, for a lack of better terms. But
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Brady, about this whole Jake Paul thing.
Yes.
How come there was no big time promoters at these events?
Because they don't want anything to do with them. The Eddie Hearns of the world, the Dana Whites of the world, they want nothing to do with them.
It's wild. It's wild.
Well, Jake has become one of them.
But he says statements like that everybody is trying to assassinate him. I don't understand that, okay, other than, this is the world. But this is what he's saying.
We'll spin it around. For anybody who's watching on YouTube or listeners or wherever you're finding this right now, we took a couple weeks off. We had some adjustments. I had some things going on in my own business, et cetera, et cetera. While that happened, there was a former president that almost got assassinated, did a whole bunch of speeches, has completely rallied a whole group of Antichrist supporters behind him. And Jake Paul decided to kind of take that on his own. And the day of the weigh-ins, when they were doing the face-off, he was basically talking like he was Donald Trump that was just assassinated on a stage. So, Jake, I get it.
He's been saying, they've been trying to do this to me. They've been trying to do this to me. Nobody's trying to do this to you, bro. Because here's the thing. Jake Paul, you got to remember, these fights that you're fighting on, that are being put on, maybe turn the corner a little bit in your office, because they're being put on by you.
Mm-hmm.
No other promoter is putting this on. Nobody is
promotions, right?
Nobody is trying to take you out. Yeah, it's MVP Promotions.
Yeah.
You're picking your opponents. You're hand-picking your opponents to do all of this. You're trying to build a narrative like you're the bad guy in all of this, but you're not. You're just the guy that's not being accepted by the mainstream boxing community.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Do you think Jake is the type of guy to wear his own face on his chest?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Fucking prick.
I absolutely.
Only pricks do that. That's the same guys who wear sunglasses indoors.
100%. You ain't Corey Hart.
No, I'm Brady Littleheart. Okay, so Jake Paul, Mike Perry. We had Serrano proved why she is the greatest of all time in professional boxing when it becomes the women's division. I don't think there's a weight class that she couldn't dominate. I think she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Can't wait to see her November 15th when she's finally going to take on Katie again in that rematch. But yeah, outside of that and outside of an extreme knockout, we had a very, very, very relaxed Jake Paul heading into this fight. And we had a very amped up Mike Perry. And I don't think the strategy of Mike Perry going into this fight was as solid as Jake's. And if we're just talking from a scientific standpoint, sure, Mike Perry looked like he shouldn't have been in there with a guy like Jake Paul. So what does that mean?
Well, listen, here's the thing.
You called this. You fucking called this to a T like 4 times now.
I did. I did. I mean, it's not that hard to see, but here's the thing that everybody has to remember. Jake Paul is becoming a better boxer.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting guys that aren't boxers. At the end of the day, Jake, the problem that you're going to have is until you actually have some guys that are actual boxers with actual credibility, you're not being allowed into the club. This is the thing. Mike Perry, yeah, a bare knuckle fighter, does very well as a champion in BKFC, murders dudes. A lot of that is clinching, short fighting. A lot
It's
of
a different
can't
style.
do in traditional, you know, Marcus of Queensberry boxing, so to speak, right?
Okay, so if we take away the technical abilities of either man, I guess supposedly what happened, this is what Mike had said at the presser. He was very humbled at the presser, which is very different from the way he went into the fight. But you get your ass beat and get knocked out. Sometimes you get humbled. But Mike Perry said that his rib was cracked within the very first jab thrown. Within the very first 10 seconds, when Jake came out and threw that right jab to his ribs, it broke his rib. So he was done from the first 10 seconds.
It doesn't surprise me. It's a different kind of ball game. It's a completely different thing. And Jake Paul is getting better at this. He's getting better at boxing. But if you think for 1 second that his next fight is going to be anything of any kind of proving to anybody, no, it's going to be another fiasco because his next fight, Brady, we all know in November
No,
against Mike Tyson.
no. It'll be like Cowboy Cerrone or something by then. It won't be Mike Tyson come November. I've been calling this since they announced it. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And here's the reason why. Not because I want to see the fight, just because I hope that I'm legit wrong about this because I think there's so much money invested in it and I don't want to see anybody lose their fucking money. There's big paydays for everybody that's involved in that card, on the fighters to the grips to the lighting guys. Everybody's going to make big money that night on Netflix. Do you think that Jake Paul's stock went up after this fight? And do you think Mike Perry's stock went up after this fight?
I don't think neither one did anything, to be honest with you. I think Mike Perry's stock stays exactly the same because Mike Perry's going to go right back into bare knuckle fighting, regardless of the little, Conor McGregor saying, oh, he's fired from BKFC. That ain't happening.
They both own the same portion of the company. They can't fire the fucking owner.
It's jokes. It's jokes.
Believe me, I know that because I just went through this shit a couple weeks ago when people were saying, "Hey,
no." So he's going to go back there and he's going to dominate. He's going to have a great fight and he's going to kick ass and everybody's going to still sign up and everybody's going to watch that fight. Cool. Jake Paul's stock didn't change a damn bit because we all expected this to happen. Anybody with half a brain who knows the world of boxing compared to the world of MMA, compared to the world of bare knuckle, you know that it's different. Nobody's going into that with the ability to outbox Jake Paul. None of these guys that he's picking to fight. And I'm sorry, even though he's got a fight lined up against Mike Tyson, and yeah, in name value, Mike Tyson is a thing. Does Mike Tyson have the ability to beat a jacked up 200 plus pound Jake Paul, young, long reach, knows how to throw a big punch? The only thing that he's going to have a chance at is if Jake Paul ends up getting very much big timed in this fight and he ends up blowing his gas load right in the first 10 seconds.
What I see with Mike is that if he doesn't get this done within the very first 45 seconds, that's Mike's fight. It's 45 seconds with Jake Paul. And if you can't get it done in 45 fucking seconds, boom.
Well, yeah, if we're talking about Mike Tyson here.
Yeah,
I think that he's probably, his only chance is going to be to do something that none of these other guys have done. Have you noticed this with every single one of Jake Paul's fights? He's the first guy to initiate. Nobody has literally started the bell going out there and trying to go after Jake Paul. Mike Tyson may very well be a guy who can do that. That's his kind of style where he marches down. But I'm talking about 35-year-old Mike Tyson, not 95-year-old Mike Tyson.
18-year-old Mike Tyson, I don't care how much shit Jake Paul takes. I don't care how many years he spends in boxing. I don't care who he beats. 18-year-old, 16-year-old Mike Tyson would wipe the floor with prime Jake Paul at any day. He just would. Any day of the week, he'd wipe the fucking floor with him. There's two different levels of boxing, but that doesn't mean that Jake Paul hasn't become a stud.
No.
Jake Paul is showing crazy technique when he's out there. 100%. And I think he did this smart. So we can look at things like you can go the same route as everybody else, or you could make your own road. And the most successful people in the world are the ones who make their own fucking roads. These are just, that's that. And whether you like the road or you don't like the road, or you agree with them or you don't, that's how success is made, is by paving your own fucking way. And Jake did it. And I think what's happened here throughout fighting all these cans and building his resume up, and no, I'm not saying cans to be disrespectful, but you know what I mean by cans, people who are not really into it, soccer players fighting boxers or some bullshit. I do think Jake Paul has become a fucking very skilled boxer inside of all of this.
Sure. And he can be all as skilled as all he wants.
A lot of power.
Here's the thing. If you're not going to be let into the club, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. You can have the greatest NFL type football team out there, but if you're not in the NFL, you're not going to get a shot at the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You can put together the greatest team out there, but if you're not in there, if you're not competing with those guys, you're not going to get a shot at that championship. Jake Paul isn't going to get a shot at this Canelo thing that he keeps talking about, or any of these guys. You know what I mean? Realistically, let's think about that. At what Jake Paul walks around at. He wants to be the champion at that weight. You know who he's fighting? Alexander Usyk. You goddamn idiots.
Yeah, it's not happening. If he was to go in there with Usyk, it would look like the Joshua and Francis fight.
So stop thinking that you're going to be a champion at this point unless you're going to cut some weight. He's talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez. Canelo fights at what, 166, 165, something like that? Really? So I'm going to be 40 pounds heavier again.
Eventually, he's going to be your size trying to fight little guys like me.
Like, what are we doing here, Jake?
But it's a professional boss. It's a professional boxer. It's Oscar De La Hoya. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Oscar De La Hoya? He's on more shit than I am right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Jesus.
So, I mean, Jake, do you get the money? I get it. You've got these guys, you know, you need to have these other names that are big enough to help you draw. But I think you're getting to the point with your promotion that Amanda Serrano is going to be a draw. She's doing great things and fighting very, very well. And eventually you might want to think about switching that up on the card. Maybe Jake Paul takes the co-main event and starts fighting a boxer or two, and Amanda Serrano takes the main event, because that's really kind of what I think should be happening. This Mike Tyson thing isn't going to happen. We've called this. We've talked about it. And if it doesn't, who does he bring in that's going to be a big enough fight for Texas?
I'll tell you right now, for Texas in a stadium, I already know who they have backed up. I know this. Little Birdie landed on my shoulder and told me yesterday.
What'd he say?
Logan Paul.
Okay.
I swear to God.
Well,
they want to fight each other. They know it's going to draw money, and it'll just be a sparring. It'll look like Chael versus fucking Anderson Silva, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to sell it like it isn't. Yeah, that's what these guys are. They're fucking sales guys. That's why you see air spray. He's drinking his buddies are drinking Celsius. They got all this energy drink open, and they're spraying fucking deodorant all over the place, and they're all just sitting there drinking all this fucking spraying and drinking and spraying. Fuck out of here. You're literally a walking chemical right now, Jake, but I'm here for it. I hate that I am, but I'm here for it, ladies and gentlemen. And let us know if you're here for it too. What do you think about Jake Paul? You could spend a whole day writing novels on how much you hate him, but realistically, where he is right now, what are your thoughts?
Or maybe how much you like him. Maybe you're enamored with Jake Paul. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Jake Paul's the guy that got you into boxing. What do you think about that? Tell us what you think about Jake Paul.
RockSolidFanClub.ca, the definitive collection of rock-solid wrestling content. RockSolidFanClub.ca is your source for rock-solid wrestling action from the past, present, and future. Travel back in time with Rock Solid Wrestling's greatest hits. Buckle up and go on the road with Rock Solid. Get in-depth analysis from those who lived it with Rock Solid Versus. And follow the ongoing saga of Rock Solid Wrestling Unsanctioned. Get access to fan club exclusives and hours of Rock Solid entertainment from your favorite superstars.
I played with a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat action figure. And then fast forward 30 years, and I'm actually in the ring with him doing a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat arm drag to Tornado, wrenching on his arm and looking right by ringside as Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is, just cheering me on as I'm doing the arm drag just like he used to do. It was such an amazing moment, thinking about being in the ring with my hero after, as a kid, being in my living room, imagining that maybe one day I could even just wrestle in the same ring that he wrestled in.
Get in front of the action. Get behind the scenes. Get it all with RockSolidFanClub.ca. Real fans get it.
Be sure to click that subscribe button, click that like button, and tell all of your friends. Share it with everybody. We appreciate you just as much as you appreciate us. So let's make this thing even bigger.